All right. Welcome to Plan9Crunch. I'm Doug Gibson. This is Joe Gibson, and we are here with a Rondo Award winner. His name is Bobby Lugosi. That's your name in the genre. You're also known as your name is Robert. Is it Zaire or Zir?
Zir.
Zir. Okay. And he is you are amazing. I mean, I see you on TikTok. I see you with getting over 1 million hits on some of your things on YouTube, and you're on Instagram, and you have a presence on social media, Facebook also. And like I said, you were named Monster Kid of the Year, and you got a Rondo, and that's just like the big one for us in this genre. And tell me something. I know some of these answers. 'Cause I've done a lot of research on you the past week, but tell me what got you so interested in Bela Lugosi. What was the first thing that did that?
Honestly, it was the first time I saw Dracula. I remember, you know, I already knew the character. He was already my favorite like Halloween character, and I had seen Count Van Count on Sesame Street, Grandpa and the Munsters, but then when I was watching the original movie, when Bela Lugosi came down the stairs and said, "I am Dracula." I started jumping up and down. I was like 7 years old saying, "This is the real Dracula. This is the real Dracula." Like it was like that moment that I just immediately fell in love with the performance. And then when I saw the documentary Monster Mania hosted by Jack Palance, and that's when I first learned that Bela Lugosi was really from the Transylvania area. Like that just like blew my mind about all the things that I could learn about him.
That's fascinating because I've been reading a lot of your stuff. You said that Bela Lugosi had had an appeal, you think, that was the same as maybe Valentino had before, but it was in the horror element. And I think that's true because so many women were mesmerized by him, and he's become so iconic. And I don't think, even though Christopher Lee is out there doing a very good job and other people, I don't think anyone can match Bela Lugosi. And the fact that you saw that at 7 was pretty impressive. I didn't get to see Dracula until I was about, 15 or 16. My first times was when I saw Son of Frankenstein was my first film I ever saw of Bela Lugosi. Because I grew up in a time where the only time you could see these movies were at 3 in the morning, okay? And my parents, or at 10 o'clock at night, and I went to bed too early for that, right? Um,
Uh-huh.
what was the second Bela Lugosi film that influenced you a lot?
See, so the other one that I saw on rotation a lot was the Wolfman.
The Wolfman?
And I mean, I know his part is small, is like smaller in that one, but it's so every time I watch it, I forget I forget how small it is because he's so memorable in it. You really believe he's like a person under a curse. So that was the other one that I was watching a lot, and I don't believe I was immediately when I was 7. I wasn't really like paying attention to the credits. So I don't even know I knew like it took me a couple years before I even knew that it was him, and that just like opened my eyes to like all the characters he like was it like he they played.
Well, the scene where he's reading a fortune or something of that woman, the ill-fated woman, and the look of despair and regret on his face when he knows he's going to kill her. He like pleads with her to get away, right? That's very effective, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and like even you know how Bela Lugosi's always known for his like hand gestures. The gesture he does is Bela the fortune teller. Like when he does the thing the thing looking into her palm, like it's such a memorable gesture.
It
You
is.
believe you could see like you believe you could really tell the future.
One of the things I really like about your I don't know this word, I'm too old, but it's called cosplaying or something, right? Okay. And so when I was watching your documentary, your 10 best Lugosi films, you were able to recreate scenes from those movies with you playing the Lugosi role most of the time. Sometimes you played like you were playing Boris Karloff in The Raven or something, but you did a very effective job. Particularly, I love the part where that spider's coming up in Dracula, and you're tearing apart. You've got so many of the mannerisms and the voices down. How much work does that take to accomplish that?
Honestly, it's just been like something like I've done like over the years.
Mhm.
You know, when I started doing YouTube videos, like the recreations, they weren't as elaborate. You know, it was just like, it was like very basic, and my performance wasn't there yet, you know. So it was just like so I just like kind of kept at it. And like as I started doing more and more, I was getting more practice, and it just kind of like slowly and surely improved.
Because that's really good. I was very
Thank you so
impressed
much.
watching you because I like the way you made that 10 favorite films and how you took you didn't actually you had I think you had photos of the films, but you were actually recreating scenes from those movies by yourself, and that was very, very well done. And I'm thinking to
Thank you
myself,
so
I wish
much.
I could do it that good. Now, I've also seen you in your Dracula outfit. Um, eh, it's a pretty impressive looking outfit. I mean, all I have is a cape. How did you find all the equipment to have a really good Dracula impersonation outfit?
Well, I pieced it together. My big sister and I, we got so lucky. We found the black suit jacket at Goodwill for $5.
Oh, okay.
It was the perfect fit. Like that was like, so that was a big win. I already had the white shirt and black pants.
Listen.
I found like the vest, and I noticed like even before I noticed it in the movie, I have a Dracula stuffed animal, and he had like a little gold chain on the bottom of his vest. And I hadn't noticed, I honestly hadn't noticed it in the movie. And I was like, oh crap, he does have that. So I ordered that part. And the medallion is from Trick or Treat Studios. And then the main cape I use is from Medieval Collectibles, but I also have the official Bela Lugosi Dracula cape from Trick or Treat Studios, and it's like really, it's like a real cape. It's really on the heavy side. So I don't wear it that often, but let me tell you, like Halloween in Chicago could be a tough cookie. So like that cape has like saved me through many a Halloween.
That's great. You know, you talk about you also I saw on Facebook you were doing a gig with Dairy Queen. Is that the correct recently?
Yes.
And that was a paid according to you, right? So what did you do?
Yeah.
I see photos of you. What were you able to do at Dairy Queen that would
Oh, it was so much fun. So they were doing a in the area, they were doing like a sweet and savory crawl where people would get like a card, and you would go to like different restaurants in the town. And one of the stops was, and they would give you like a sample. And one of the stops was Dairy Queen, and they wanted to have like some entertainment. So what I would do is I would hit, and she like I didn't really, she didn't give me like a lot of instructions. I just kind of like figured it out. So I would hypnotize people to have ice cream. So I would do this. From now on, you will carry out any suggestion that reaches you from my brain
That's great.
instantly, without question. When I will you to do a thing, it shall be done. I command you to eat ice cream.
That's fantastic. I wish we had 3D for that.
Oh, thanks.
So that's great. And also, we were going to talk a couple months ago, but you were going to a convention or some kind of event, right?
Yes,
What was that?
as a matter of fact, that's how it was a spooky market. We my friends were running like their first ever horror convention, and I was the host of the costume contest, and that's actually how I met the manager of Dairy Queen.
Oh, okay. Some networking, huh? Right?
Yeah, yeah, that's how it turned. I didn't think of it that way, but that's how it turned out.
Do you go to a lot of these events? Are you able to go to a lot of these events? I've never been to one. I want to go to Monster Bash someday.
Oh my God, yes, I love I love going to horror conventions. Believe it or not, my first horror convention ever was the 2007 Dark Shadows convention.
Because you put that down on Facebook. It's one of your favorite shows, I think, right? Dark
Yeah,
Shadow.
yeah. Oh, I love Dark Shadows. Yes, and now yeah, I go to like a lot of the conventions in the area. Upcoming in I'm gonna be in the coffin races that one a town's gonna be having, where you
What
build
town's
your own
having
coffin
coffin
and
races?
yeah.
What town is it? Where is
What's
it
that?
at? Where is it
It's
at?
in Lockport, Illinois,
Oh, okay, okay.
and Yeah, and like I love going to like the horror conventions, and it's amazing like all the people you meet and like who are like so passionate about horror too, and like it's so great to see like the love that Bela Lugosi and the classic Universal monsters still have because they are all over the place in horror conventions.
You know, that's what I love about the horror genre is that the iconic ones stay around for a long time. I mean, Bela Lugosi is timeless now, and he had something that no one else could replicate, could ever imitate, and it's so effective. I'm a boomer. You're not a boomer, all right? But to me, a big film because it's one I saw more often was Billy. No, what am I talking about? I almost said Billy Kid versus Dracula. I meant the one I saw was Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein.
Uh,
And did that film have any impact? Quite an impact for you?
oh my God! Oh yes, I love that one. I love that one. That's I actually that's like the like in my family. That's the one like I always like show to like nieces and nephews and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think you mentioned it. You said that I don't know if it was you, but a 4-year-old loved it. Did you write that?
Yeah, yeah, it was my niece. I showed it to two different nieces when they were 3 years old. One of them loved it so much. The next day, she was walking around with her cape like Dracula,
Yeah.
and the other one. This is two different times. The other one loved it so much. The next morning, she was walking like Frankenstein.
That's great. You know, I think that movie is pretty iconic also. And
It,
I think
yeah.
it's also another one that's that kind of iconic might be, although it's a little racier, is Young Frankenstein too, is a lot like
Mhm.
it gives
Yeah,
the same kind
yeah.
of shot in the dark. Now, Joe, I'm taking up all the time. Did you want to ask a question right now?
There's not really much that I can ask. It's very impressive what you're doing. I was watching a bit of your TikTok stuff, and it's very good.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm so proud of it. Like, I love it when I hear people, they'll say like, it would be like a young person. They say, "Hey, I just watched the Bela Lugosi Dracula because of you, and I loved it."
That is so satisfying. You know, I have people telling me I can't watch a black and white movie. I said, "What are you talking about? They're great." You know,
Yeah.
you know they have atmosphere. A black and white movie is timeless.
Oh my gosh, it is it has this like haunting quality that like color doesn't have. Like when I watch Dracula, it feels like I'm watching a haunted house.
Yeah, you know, I watched that. I've probably seen Dracula, probably not as much as you, but I've probably seen it 70 times myself and possibly more. And I got to the point where I love every second of that film, even the ones that the people claim are a little bit slow, you know, and everything. I still love them because Lugosi's scenes are just fantastic every time. I mean, they just always have something unique about them. Have you read Gary Rhodes' book, Todd Browning's Dracula?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, don't you see how he makes a wonderful case for all these people who say ridiculous things like the Spanish Dracula is better, even though I like that film, it's not better, you know? And
Yeah.
and and also people like to mock there being cardboard by the bed in that book also for what's her name? Is it Mina? Yeah, it's Mina, right?
Yeah.
Her character, but Rhodes explains all those things. My whole point is the last 50 years, there's been so much scholarship on Bela Lugosi, whether from Robert Kramer, and I always forget the other guy who wrote the Immortal Count. I like his biography also.
Was it Arthur Lenning?
Arthur Letty, thank you. Yeah. And then Gary Rhodes has written a great book. Frank Delastrito has written a great book. And along with Andy Brooks, he's a co-author. And it just seems like it took a long time for these guys to get the recognition. They never went away, but it seems like 1970s to me, or maybe 1960s, I might have been too young, was the beginning of the monster craze that's still going on now. And you're a good representative of that. You get around to everybody and everything like that. I'm getting to a point here. You mentioned in one of your videos that you consider Return of the Vampire to be a sequel to Dracula. Expound on that a little bit.
Yeah, I would say like No, I would say like definitely like an unofficial like sequel because like the character is a little bit different. But even like the first like 15 minutes of Return of Dracula is really a Return of the Vampire. Is like really like a retread of Dracula where you have like you have the doctor and the female doctor and they're almost like a Professor Van Helsing and Dr. Seward. They go to destroy the vampire, and then they fast forward to it, and then he has a servant again, and his story is out for revenge. So it's sort of where if Universal had brought back Bela Lugosi into the Dracula role, what they might have done.
You know, I think so too. I think, of course, they couldn't call him Dracula because they'd be sued, right? Probably.
Yeah.
But do you see any evolution in Dracula from 1931 to the Return of the Vampire Tesla to even Dracula in Abbott and Costello? Do you see any maturity in how Lugosi portrays the role?
Um, Definitely that he becomes more and more comfortable interacting with others.
Sure.
And you could see that starting with it, like even in the first one, Bela Lugosi's scenes with Dwight Fry, his speech pattern is like it's much stranger. It's much more children of the night.
Yeah.
Whereas the later scenes when he's with Mina and Dr. Seward and Jonathan Harker, yeah, it's a little off because English is Dracula's second language too, and but it's definitely more fluent. And I think in each one you can kind of see that he does get more fluent with the language.
Yeah, because when Dracula starts, I think Joe would agree with this. He's just hanging around with his brides, right? And he
Yeah.
doesn't have communication with living humans and everything. And so you're right. He starts talking to people and becomes a little bit more comfortable. You know what? Frank Dell'Istrito told me one time that the way Dracula talks in the 1931 movie is like a man who speaks very deliberately and slowly because he's been alive for several hundred years. Thought that was interesting concept.
That is interesting. And two, he's a count, so like
Yeah.
his words matter.
Yeah. You know, in 2027, I'm going to visit Transylvania.
What
And
cool!
I'm going to visit Dracula's, Bela Lugosi's hometown.
Oh,
All these
awesome!
promises to the viewers, Dan.
No, I am. We own a home in Hungary. All right.
Cool.
Yeah. So my goal is to get to both Transylvania and it's called Lugos, I think, but it's in Romania now.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was once Hungary. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. Now I want to mention something. You mentioned that you are autistic,
Mhm.
and do you feel that that you help to get more words out for more word out for autistic people, or is that anything related to what you're doing right now to try to show people, hey?
Actually, yeah. So it's like so like I was so the two of the big responses I get people who are watching Dracula because of me, but then also a lot of people with autism they have it's called special interests where you're really 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 into something. So like how I'm into Dracula, and I'll have people say to me that because they see what I'm doing with Dracula, it inspires them to do like the same with what they love. So it's really having a really positive impact.
That's good.
And I'm
That's a
so
good
proud
point.
of
You're
it.
saying you have this great interest in Bela Lugosi and Dracula, and other people who have autism have particular interests, specialty interests. You're saying, right?
Yeah.
So that gives them inspiration to fulfill and work on and reach their potential for their interests, right?
Exactly. I have it right here. Like I'll tell them about how I won the Monster Key of
Oh,
the Year
thank you.
from the
Show that. Yeah,
Rondo.
show it to us.
Oh, so I made a video, showing when I won, when I opened it, and I did it not just to toot my own horn, but also to say that if I can do it, you can do it too. If you want to like pursue what you love too, you can.
That's fantastic. You know, also you write, and let's talk about that right now. Let's get this book. You have a copy too.
Page 115.
Well, no, let's show the book. Okay, we both can show it. What's it called again?
The book is called Edward's Warm and Goro Wishes and Rubber Octopus Dreams.
And how did you get approached to write for this?
I I'm really great friends with Chris Gautier,
Oh,
and
good guy, Chris. Yeah.
yeah, he's such a great guy. And his group, the Celebration of Life and Art Bela Lugosi, is such a wonderful group. And and he talked to Brad, and I sent Brad the my short story, and I was so nervous, but he said he liked it, and it got in. I'm so proud of it. It's an honor to be in there with you and Gregory Mank and Chris and everyone.
Oh yeah, I think it's great too. I was almost I think I can't remember if Brad or Chris asked me to write. Yeah, now read the name of his story again. What's the name of your story again?
Mr. and Mrs. Ghoul.
Mr. and Mrs. Ghoul. I've read it. I've read it twice. I read it when it first came out, and I read it this morning. Give us a brief synopsis of it.
So here's the picture that goes with it.
I don't have
It's
that
me
photo
and
yet.
big
My copy.
sister is me as Bela Lugosi and my sister's Vampira, and it's about Glenn, who's been snooping at his neighbors, Mr. and Mrs. Ghoul. And Mr. Ghoul, and he discovers that Mr. Ghoul is a mad scientist, and then who is plotting with Mars to take over the world. And then, however, Glenn can't go to the police because Mr. Ghoul sees Glenn wearing his Angora sweater and dress. So, and if he goes to the police on Mr. Ghoul will tell the police about that, and then his engagement with Barbara will be off. So he's got to go to the Ghoul's house himself and stop Mr. Ghoul from taking over the world. So
You don't want to give away the ending.
I don't want to give away the end, but basically what I do is I combine all three of Bela Lugosi's roles into one character.
Wow,
from the films.
I love the story. I love just about all the stories in this book, and
Me
I
too.
think this book is really incredible because it's the first major anthology of Ed Wood related stuff. You wrote, you took several characters, and I wrote about Final Curtain. Everybody else wrote about other movies and things like that, and I just love this book, and I think it's doing pretty well. I heard it sold very well at Monster Bash and
Oh,
everything.
wonderful.
Was it your first story? Have you written others?
So this is this is my first time ever published. So I've written things like here and there, but like this is the first time I've ever been published. So I am so proud of this. And like I agree. It's like so neat, like how like we watch Ed Wood's movies for a reason. There's something about it something in there that we love. So it's wonderful that we're celebrating it and like building upon it.
When is the first time you ever saw Glen or Glinda or Bride of the Monster or Plan 9 from Outer Space?
See, it was right after I saw the Ed Wood movie.
Okay, the 90s then. Okay.
Yeah, in the 90s. Yeah. So So I didn't see the Ed Wood movie in the theaters. I saw it on videotape. And like the fact that it had Bela Lugosi, like I had to check it out. I had to see them. So then I rented them from the video store, and then I got the DVD collection, and it said the worst of Ed Wood. It said the best of Ed Wood, but then it crossed out best and put worst.
I found out about Ed Wood through these books like the Golden Turkey Awards that came out in the late 70s. They may be before your time, but I finally watched Plan 9 from Outer Space at 2 a.m. on Movies Till Dawn in Los Angeles. And I made a copy of that and still have it. It's kind of fun to watch that movie in between used car commercials, and stuff like that. Yeah. I actually saw, when I lived in Boston, I went and saw on Halloween night Plan 9 from Outer Space in a theater at Harvard. So that's my little story. But
That's so good. I got this is funny.
Yeah.
So I got like in high school, I got really, really into Ed Wood, especially because like he was like, I didn't have the internet yet, so I was sort of limited in what I could research. So I got really into Ed Wood and the different like people in there, and when we were doing this, we had to do a speech for class. It was called American Originals. And then, so I couldn't choose Bela Lugosi, so I did a presentation on Criswell in high school.
no kidding.
Yeah.
That's great. In eighth grade, I wrote a book. I wrote a paper on Bela Lugosi.
That's so cool. That's it. I like in the other class, I did the speech on Bela Lugosi.
That's great. You know, that's
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah. I love doing like, I love when I can include horror in the assignments.
It
Like,
is. And I'm a retired journalist.
oh,
I have a job now, but I'd rather not mention what it is. But I'm about to retire from that too. But anyways, I taught for 2 years at the
congratulations.
University of Utah as an adjunct professor, and I used Devil Bat in my class. I had the kids watch Devil Bat in my class. I'm probably the only college professor in America that was a journalism professor that had Devil Bat in their class. And you like that movie because I know it's in your 10 top Bela Lugosi films.
I love that movie. That's
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah, I think it is. Now, you mentioned I saw a really cool video of you, and I'm going to try to put it in this podcast. I don't know if we'll be able to, but it's you and your sister. Is her name Catherine?
Katie.
Katie. Okay. And you're doing Vampira and I guess they call him the ghoul, Lugosi's character, right? And
Yeah.
and how often does Katie work with you?
We like quite a bit really. Like we do a lot of projects together and stuff like that. Like
Because
we
I
act as
see
a
her on Facebook and things like that sometimes. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So we do we act we like well like we've acted like in the haunted house together as like Dracula and a vampire. Like so we've acted together like in videos and like in person a lot.
And so you do a lot of in-person stuff, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and she does a great job too. Like you should hear her vampire scream.
Oh, I'd love to hear it sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought the short you had of both of you walking through the grave was very, very effective. And
Thank you so much.
I'm glad that picture is in the book now. I'm gonna get another
I am
book
too.
so I can have that. And so getting back into, you were a young kid discovering Dracula at 7, and then doing things in high school about Ed Wood and also Bela. And you said you had trouble doing research as a youngster because there wasn't quite the internet yet or something.
Yeah, I mean, like it's I just got I got the internet in high school because I was of the era at that time I was growing up. Like we like first got the internet like in the middle of when I was in high school. So
Mhm.
like and yeah, I wasn't really ordering things online. So a lot of the information like the biographies of Bela Lugosi I didn't really have access to and like at that time.
Oh, I'll tell you, I understand that. When I was in high school, we had something called the Reader's Guide to Periodical Literature, and you had to write down what you wanted and try to find it somewhere, okay? Or you had to write to people. When I did an 8th grade book report in Lugosi, I had to go to my sister's college to get those Lugosi biographies and everything. I tried to call Ed Wood. I don't think he had a phone number, even though he was in the phone book, so I never got a chance to talk to him.
Oh,
This was way back in '77.
it's so cool that you tried though. Cool.
Yeah, one of my regrets, you know. But I can understand how difficult it is pre-internet to try to
Yeah.
find stuff
Yeah.
out to do. And so it's so great now that you can find just information
Anything.
everywhere.
And I gotta say, one of the great pieces of information I was so grateful for when DVDs came out, the Universal Monster documentaries.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like that was, like for me, that was that was amazing because that was my first big way to learn about the behind the scenes of all of them.
Oh yeah. And Joe wanted to ask you, what are some genres that are your favorites outside of the vampire and Dracula in the horror field?
See, so I honestly I love all the Universal monsters. My second favorite Universal monster would be the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Ah,
Which
that's the one I don't have yet. I need to buy that set. There's some good movies though. Yet there's one of those films has Clint Eastwood in it.
yeah, he's in Revenge of the Creature. And it's like it's so funny because he miscounts he thinks the cat ate the mouse, but it really like went up his sleeve. And it's so funny to see like Clint Eastwood be silly, you know? Like,
He is pretty good. Have you ever seen a movie called Zat?
I actually got to see the creature from the Black Lagoon at the theater recently
did?
in 3D.
That's pretty cool. I've never seen
What
that.
is amazing.
Have you ever heard of a film? It was a regional film called ZAAT, Zat. It's sort of
No.
a creature ripoff.
Oh, cool.
And there's another one I can't. You know what? This drives me crazy. I'm getting old now. I can't remember the title, but it starred a. It was the last movie an Italian actress named Pilar Angeli made, and it's also a ripoff of the creature. So there's a couple more genres.
Oh yeah, the creature has a whole lot of rip-off ones. Like The Shape of the Water recently was also another one, right?
The Shape of Water I haven't seen. Have you
Yeah.
seen that?
Yeah, I really like that.
Okay.
I thought like you could tell like it was like the creature was like definitely like the beloved like inspiration, and
Yeah.
you get some like cool Easter eggs to it and stuff.
I should, I'm not a snob, but I don't see as many recent films as I should see, recent horror films. I think the most recent film really I've seen that I liked was The Others with
Oh no! You watched Renfield and you loved Renfield, right?
well, Renfield was good at times, yeah. What do you think of Renfield?
I really enjoyed it. Oh my gosh. You were a part of the I got so excited for is when they mentioned Renfield's daughter's name was Lillian, because that had to be an homage to Bela's fourth wife, Lillian.
Ah, yeah, good point. Good point. Very good. What do you think of Last Voyage of the Demeter?
I really enjoyed it.
So did I.
really enjoyed it.
Yeah, but I didn't think the Dracula was as effective as he could have been.
Well,
But maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean you see I would have preferred if it was like a person like using like makeup as opposed to like the digital effects. I feel like
Yeah.
that always has because even if the digital effects are the greatest, I feel nothing really has like that weight of like knowing that the thing is like actually there.
yeah.
Mhm. I do think that ship was incredible, though. The ship,
Yeah.
the interiors of the ship in Demeter was really, really good.
And let me just clarify a little bit. I think that we mostly think that the movie wasn't good for its Dracula depiction, but if we could hear the dialogue, because he was very vague in terms of the dialogue, very quiet. The Dracula character talks, it's just masked by the weather effects, and then if that final shot had been like about an actual human in the whole getup instead of just the monster still wearing the hat and the scarf and whatever, it would have been packed more of a punch if he was like an actual person at the end, right?
Joe's on a roll now.
No, I'm not. I have weirdly specific takes.
So
on
tell
this.
me, actually, the monster kind of looked like Frederick March and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde at the end, in my opinion, sort of. I don't know.
He should have been a human, though.
But we're diverging away here. Tell me some future things you have in plan for being Dracula and things like that. Anything you want to bring beyond what you've done now?
Yeah, honestly, I really loved what I did at Dairy Queen, so I want to like try to do like more like public appearances at places, and I also want to do I want to do more writing, because this has been being in this book has been like it's been an amazing experience, and I want to get back like
Yeah, writing is fun. The secret to writing is just to sit down and write, that's the thing. And I can see you also making some good short films, that some longer ones.
as a matter of fact, so it's in the planning stages. So there's a person in the area who made this really great Michael Myers fan film. He's gonna be posting it on YouTube in a couple of weeks. I'll get you the information. And he's going. And he filmed. There's a small part in it where I'm Dracula in it.
Great.
He was doing it at the haunted house, and we're in talks of like maybe making like a Universal Monster fan film where I'm Dracula, like maybe like an 8-minute short
Well,
film.
that would be fantastic.
Yeah. Oh my God. I hope so. Like I think that would be wonderful.
So who besides Bela Lugosi and has inspired you in your life and what you're doing right now?
See, like my grandma's definitely an inspiration on me. My big sister is a huge inspiration on me. Like she's the one who's always like pushed me to keep trying and to explore and to do as many Dracula things as I can. Like, so she's been a huge inspiration on me.
That's good.
And then, yeah. And then in terms of like other actors, I would say Jonathan Frid from Dark Shadows.
Oh, he's good. Yeah.
I remember him at like the Dark Shadows convention. He did like his like dramatic readings. So like being able to watch him in person and how he did that, like that was huge.
What did you think? Just out of curiosity, it didn't do very well at the box office. What do you think of the
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp
Shadows.
movie?
It was fun, but I wish it would have been like closer to the series. I feel like it would have been more successful.
Yeah, because it didn't do very well at the box office, did it? But he is very good at Ed Wood. You know, what's
Oh,
funny is I interviewed a guy named Joe Blevins a couple months ago, who is Ed Wood on the Ed Wood page a lot, and he wrote a biography of the guy that made some Ed Wood movies when he was unfortunately into the adult industry. What was his name again? Do you remember, Joe?
It is a weird one.
Stephen Apostoloff. Stephen Apostoloff. And what Joe Blevins said, he said you could make a Ed Wood 2 because Johnny Depp today looks like Ed Wood in his 50s.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of, yeah, we have a little short on our TikTok page. If you want to look at that later, what Joe Blevins saying that, it's pretty cool. Geez, I just am, I got to tell you, I think that you are doing so much good for this genre right now, and
Thank
for
you
Bela
so much.
Lugosi and Dracula. And I'm so happy you won what you deserve in the Rondo. There's no doubt about that, because I don't think people are as energetic and optimistic as you in keeping, the vampire genre and Bela Lugosi genre going. So you're doing a great job, and I'm just so impressed, like I said earlier, of the way you're able to cosplay these people. And also, once again, I urge people to watch the 10 best Bela Lugosi films on your YouTube page, and that is Lugosi Theater, right?
Yes, I would
You
go
also have dusty old films or something, but
Yes, so my original YouTube name, I was Dusty Old Movies, and I'm trying to change it to Lugosi Theater. So like the YouTube, like you could find it under both names, but then the
Okay, okay.
TikTok and Instagram are Lugosi Theater too.
Yeah, because like I just enjoyed. I had like about a half hour just enjoyment watching these shorts. They were great, and then
Thank you
just
so
watching the Lugosi best films. I thought that was pretty darn insightful. I might have given a little bit more to Murder in the Rue Morgue, but otherwise you did a great job. Okay,
I know.
no, you did a great job. I was
You're
watching
so
The Raven a couple of days ago, and you mentioned The Raven. And you mentioned something very interesting. You talk about how Lugosi can be very, very cold-blooded as a scientist sometimes in the movies, and he's like that in The Raven. He's obviously insane, but then he has the other type of not insane, but sort of unhinged, where he's very sympathetic. In one of my second favorite Bela Lugosi film, The Black Cat. And this leads to probably one more question. Lugosi, you said that he made 8 films with Boris Karloff, and that's probably true. I would argue that in their early films, at least the first 2 movies, and also Son of Frankenstein, Bela Lugosi actually outshone Boris Karloff in those movies. Do you agree with that? Like in The Raven and Black Cat and Son of Frankenstein?
I do agree. I feel like the Black Cat I think is the most successful in like having it be like more even. But
Yeah.
that ending where like this whole time like Bela Lugosi has been like the hero of the movie and he snaps and skins Boris Karloff alive. Like that is such a great thrilling moment. Like so he's like he steals that at the end and then he's like his role in The Raven is so great. And then in Son of Frankenstein, Boris Karloff is great, but he doesn't have much to do. And Bela Lugosi has this great character.
He does, and that's thanks to the director.
Yeah.
Kept him on the state, kept him there for 6 or 7 weeks. Universal wanted to pay him off with a 1-week payment for that movie. I often wonder if, and this is just pure speculation, if Boris Karloff didn't play the monster again because he felt upstaged in Son of Frankenstein. That's just pure speculation. I don't know, because basically Son of Frankenstein is a film where I think Bela Lugosi deserved a Best Supporting Actor nomination for an Oscar. He's that good. He's that iconic. You know, that's the first Lugosi film I ever saw, so it has a little bit of my heart. Although Dracula is my favorite now, of course. Well, let's see. I'm going to ask you one more question. Who do you think is? I think I know the answer, but who do you think the best vampire is other than Lugosi on screen?
So, so my next favorite is Barnabas Collins, but
I knew you were going to say that. Yeah.
yeah, I love. I think he does such a great job, and because to me, I feel like he the two of them, they have even as different as they play it. I love how they have this like kind of like haunting aura.
Mm-hmm.
They both have a very like ghostly quality to their performance, and I think the fact that both of them were Shakespeare. Bela Lugosi had done Shakespeare in Hungary, and Jonathan Frid was a Shakespearean actor. So I think they also bring that very like old world quality to it, where you believe that they're centuries old.
Oh, you're right. And I got to tell you something. Do you have the books Becoming Dracula 1 and Becoming Dracula 2 by Gary Rhodes and Bill Kaffenberger? You do have
Yes,
them.
I do. Yes, I do. Aren't they amazing?
Until yeah, they are amazing because particularly in the first book, they actually break new history for us, okay? They didn't have the internet to go to. They had to go to these small towns and find old stuff in Hungarian to find out where Lugosi was performing and things like that. And when I was in Hungary last year, I was trying to follow some of the areas they went to. And it's just an incredible book. I mean, it just gives you so much information about Lugosi's training, like you talked about, how he did stuff like Shakespeare. He did Passion of the Christ. It's amazing. And the second book's really good too. The other book that I hope you have is Vampire Over London, Bela Lugosi in Britain. If you don't know,
I have to order that one still.
Yeah, you because it is first of all, it's all about his final tour as Dracula, which went on for several months in England. Okay, and he was almost 70 years old. And then it has chapters on the Phantom Ship, the one Dark Eyes of London, and a chapter on Mother Riley Meets the Vampire. It's not very expensive. I really recommend you get that.
Okay, cool. So it's affordable. All right, great.
You can go to cultmoviespress.com if you want to, or you can just get it at Amazon, I think, also.
Yeah. Oh, heck yeah, I'm gonna order it tonight. Cool.
Yeah, because I'd like to know what you think about that. Well, Bobby, is there anything else you want to mention, or we've talked about it a lot? Just wondering.
Yes, first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for having me on. The work that you've done over the years has been amazing, and I am so and it's this whole experience of like winning the Monster Kid of the Year Rondo had on the award, just being in the way they announce like the winner, how they do it in the chat room, like being in a chat room with like historians of people whose books I've read and whose like research I've seen, and I've seen their interviews. It's such an honor to be part of this.
No,
thank you so much for having me on.
And you deserve all of it. You deserve all of it. We're really appreciative of all you've done. That's why we wanted to talk to you. And I hope we get to again soon sometime. And what else I wanted to say? Yes, Joe, have something to say?
So, the Universal monsters are very much alive. We've had Renfield and Last Voyage of the Demeter, though those underperformed. But Blumhouse has been making the Invisible Man, and they've recently been working on a Wolfman. Have you seen the trailer for the new Wolfman?
No, I haven't seen it yet. I have to check it out still.
But it's giving like a sense of what the movie will be like.
Okay, cool.
Well, I'm interested in Nosferatu coming out too.
Yeah.
Also, in Ogden on October 30th, they're going to play Nosferatu at the Egyptian Theater here.
Oh, cool!
Yeah. I can't wait to see that on the big screen. But also, it's cool to see these things staying in the public eye. I didn't ask you what you thought of Nosferatu.
Well, I love Nosferatu. It has such an amazing It's to me, I would describe it as if you read the original Grimm's fairy tales when they're extra scary, and then had a really scary nightmare about them. That's the atmosphere of Nosferatu.
You know, in a
Like,
book called Vampires in Silent Cinema that came out last year, or it came out this year, I can't remember, by Gary Rhodes, he talks about the entire weekend festival where Nosferatu premiered. The book, though, is pretty expensive, unfortunately. It might be cheaper on in Kindle form. I don't know, but it's called Vampires in Silent Cinema. It's a really good book. Gary writes a lot of good stuff.
he does. He really does.
He found the very first vampire movie, the something called The Afterlife or something. I reviewed it. Oh, well, no one reviews it because it's lost. Okay, but it was made in Russia in 1915. Something Afterlife. I can't stand the fact that things don't come to me as easy as I used to. But it stars the woman who played in Freaks, who played the bad woman, who was turned into a chicken or something at the end of the movie. Olga Baklava. But anyways, I'm rambling on right now, but I'm really enjoying this. So I got to say a little spiel. We're Plan9Crunch. We're at YouTube. We're at TikTok. Give us a subscribe at YouTube. You can like Plan9Crunch podcast and blog and Facebook. And like I said, TikTok. And we have a blog, plan9crunch.com. And anyways, we're very grateful to have Bobby Lugosi here. And that's a wrap.